Hello, this is LbpHorror101 with your host, The Unknown One. In this lesson, I'll be pulling notes out of a hat in a grab bag style of horror tips and fun facts, starting with backtracking. The requirement of backtracking through the level always leaves an open door for a nerve-wracking experience once you have walked through a door that looks a little different from when you first went through. You should avoid or improve cliches, such as the one I like to call the key bait, where you find a key to the door, but you've played so many horror levels in the past that you already know once you grab the key, something typical will happen on the way back to the locked door. I'm not saying that nothing should happen at all, just make it not so predictable, please. The player's death. Some horror levels don't actually kill your sack person, like in my clown statue level. Nor is there any dangerous spikes, fire, gas, or electricity. This shows a level can be scary without the player ultimately succumbing to death. They are surrounded by death instead. Ordinarily scary. Some horror levels don't need a single drop of blood to be scary, and others can be scary in broad daylight, but it takes a real horror genius to turn an ordinary boring life into a tale of sheer terror without even changing the atmosphere of a bustling and crowded city. From under the rug. Then it comes to be that the soothing light at the end of your tunnel was just a freight train coming your way. At times, there's a happy ending in horror, and other times the cake is a lie. And by that, I mean pulling the rug from under the player's feet after they've escaped the cave, made it back to town, and are quote-unquote safe in their home, where everything seems normal, until they look into the mirror and notice someone else is staring back at them. Predictions. Predicting what the player does naturally can be an excellent advantage in catching people off guard, and I'm not talking about knowing that the player will open this door or walk through that room. Let's say there's a room with a window open. Naturally, the player will check the window, or at least try and jump out if they can. There's nothing outside but the pouring rain, but suddenly, bam, this is when you add the scare. You can push them out the window with a jar of scary music, have the window slam shut with a vicious monster trying to break in, or turn around and bump into the crazy guy that's been chasing you around the whole house trying to chop you up with a butcher knife. Cliches I forgot about in episode 4. Bloody red eyes and suicide seem to be a cliche that are used all too often in creepypasta, along with adding file extensions .exe, AVI, or .jpeg. Hell, I did both of those with sackboy.exe, and whether you love it or you hate it, you can't deny the fact that it's become quite popular in the community. So again, don't just use a cliche for the sake of getting a play. Improve on it. Puzzles and horror are best friends forever. Puzzles and horror are an awesome mix, especially when you find yourself regret collecting all 8 pages, the way I did. There's a lot of different ways to combine both of these elements as well. With Slender, we know that each page we collect, the more aggressive and violent he gets. With Resident Evil and Silent Hill, the puzzles are there to give us a break and recover from each horrifying event that unfolds. And in Amnesia: The Dark Descent, the puzzles can unwind a dark and a mysterious story until its ultimate truth at the end. But nobody ever said anything about mixing and mashing them all up. Girls are scary. Not often do you see the killer or monster of a horror story a female, and when you do, she's either a ghost, insane, or worst of all, gender-bended, cough cough, Jane the Killer. I actually like Jane a whole lot more than Jeff, primarily because of the 10,000 Jeff the Killer levels that made me want to strangle the little bastard and throw him down a stairway to hell. I still respect him, and his story is great, but if you're a stupid boy like me, you just might witness a terrifying day that a woman raises hell. Beautiful and deadly, just like a white unicorn, women can be dangerous. Trust me, I have scars to prove them. And with that said, I'll gladly tell you that I do have a few horror story ideas of my own featuring a femme fatal, but of course that's not until the release of LBP 3. But yeah, that was 8 tips for episode 8. Not really sure what I'll talk about in the next video, considering I'm too distracted by the new PS4 I just bought today. So, yeah. Until then, this has been LbpHorror101 with The Unknown One saying class dismissed.